What's up, guys? It's the Cleaver Podcast. I'm Josh Clow. I co-host the Cleaver Podcast,
I'm Michael Weaver. I'm the other co-host.
and welcome to Season 1, Episode 3. Getting right to business, our Week 9 recap. We'll start off with that Thursday night magical game of the Raiders versus 49ers. 49ers topped the Raiders 34-3, coming up to 2-7. Still a lost season. But Nick Mullins popped off 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Almost had a perfect passer rating for a rookie NFL debut, and he got verified on Twitter at halftime.
And he's a third string QB, too.
Yep, so chances are he's not going to be the starter next year when Jimmy Garoppolo comes in, but he could be a potential trade wire for some teams if he produces the way that he just did for the rest of the season.
Yeah, don't forget George Kittle popped off, too, the tight end.
Oh yeah.
Had a great game.
Moving on to Sunday's game, good old division rivalry, the Steelers versus Ravens. Steelers came up 23-16 to stay in the AFC North playoff race against a it was contested until they beat the Ravens, but you still got to compete with the Bengals. Antonio Brown has a touchdown in 6 straight games. Now coming, showing up where he has done in previous seasons after that slow start. We had the Bears at Buffalo. They won 41-9. They had
Huge second quarter. 28 points in the second quarter alone.
2 defensive touchdowns. The Bills was no way in form ready for this team. The Bears lead their division right now for the first time this season in a very, very long time. Buccaneers at Panthers. We all know that Ryan Fitzpatrick started that game. Fortunately, he came short at 28-42, but the comeback was happening at one point coming into the fourth quarter. They're sitting at a 3-5. The season is pretty much lost at this point. Wild card is still a possibility, though.
It'll be a long haul, though. Fitzpatrick also had another great game, 4 touchdowns despite the 2 picks.
We had the Chiefs at the Browns at 37-21. This game was a lot closer than people thought it was. Really went away in the fourth quarter. Pat Mahomes, another 300-yard game, 3 touchdowns. He actually has 300 passing yards in 8 straight games. The youngest quarterback to do that. So yeah, they're sitting at good old 8-1 right now on top of the AFC. The Jets went down to Miami in a terrible field condition. They topped the Jets 13-6 after 4 interceptions and a pick six to seal the game. The Lions and Vikings. The game was pretty close until a Matt Stafford fumble. They prevailed at 24-9. Vikings are thick in the division race, where the Lions are now have questions that needs to be answered. Vikings also put up 10 sacks, which is a franchise record. Falcons visited Washington Redskins. Falcons put up a beating against a very, very defensively good team. They're top 5 in pass defense, and Matt Ryan shredded them with, I believe, 4 passing touchdowns. And the Falcons are now back at 500 after starting 1-4. Texans visit the Broncos. It's Demaryius Thomas' first game as a Texan, and of course he had to go against his former team. The Texans won by a missed field goal, so they won 19-17 at a 6-game winning streak. Very exciting game with Chargers versus Seahawks. Game literally came down to the last play after a pass interference in the end zone, but the Chargers prevailed on the last play on the 1 yard line to move 6-2 to stay in their division race. Seahawks fall 4-4 at 500 with questions that need to be answered also.
Yeah, Chargers had a lot of explosive plays in that game, and that's why they won.
Game of the week, the Rams at the Saints.
Speaking of explosive plays,
Saints beat the Rams 45-35. The Rams are beaten, with the Saints now leading the NFC as the 1 seed right now with the head-to-head tiebreaker. Saints started the season 0-1. They're on a 7-game winning streak. Michael Thomas, Drew Brees really showed up, and now they just signed Dez Bryant. Good old Sunday Night Football. Packers visiting the New England Patriots. Patriots won 31-17. They really won after the fumble in the late in the third quarter, coming in the fourth quarter by Aaron Jones, and Aaron Rodgers couldn't come back to win the game. And then that Monday night game, the Titans visited the Cowboys. They won 28-14. It was a very important game for both squads. Titans now at 4-4. They're only 2 games behind the Texans right now, and they still got to play them. Cowboys fall 3-5. They got some questions they answered because they're 2 games behind the Redskins with an important game this week against the Eagles.
Pickup of Amari Cooper was not enough for them in this game.
No, but the Titans converted 11 of 14 on third downs. So the Cowboys need to, fix that third down defense. Going back to that Saints and Rams game, that was a very, very high-powered offense game. Although there was a little bit of defense in the game, Jared Goff did throw a costly interception near the end of the first half, which really set up a 35-14 lead.
Yeah.
In the second quarter.
Yeah, but that game was dominated by Drew Brees and Michael Thomas. I mean, Drew Brees, who we'll get to him more later on when we talk about our well, actually, let's talk about it right now, real quick. The players of the week. For me, we'll get back into the Saints Rams, but just players of the week in general. I got for the AFC, I got Kareem Hunt, who put up 140 plus yards and a couple touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. And then we'll talk about it more in a minute. But Drew Brees put up big numbers. How about you? Who are your players of the week?
AFC, I have Patrick Mahomes. He put up 375 yards passing with 18 yards rushing. He threw up 3 more touchdowns and only 1 interception. In the NFC, I'm going to go defense. Not a lot of defensive guys get these. It's Danielle Hunter. He had 3 sacks, 3 tackles for losses, 9 tackles, and then he had a touchdown. It was a key part of why the Vikings beat the Lions.
All right, back to the Rams and Saints. I was talking about Drew Brees, put up big numbers, 346 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. He had a few carries for 16 yards as well.
He converted a 3 and 10 that really, he took a dive. He said, I'm going to risk my life for this.
Yeah, that's Drew Brees for you. He's a player.
Benjamin Watson had some surreal catches going on in that game too when you watched it. Alvin Kamara had 3 total touchdowns, I believe.
Yeah.
This offense is completely just so powerful, and the addition of Dez Bryant.
We'll see what he brings. He hasn't played in a while, but I believe with Drew Brees as his quarterback, the best quarterback that, with all respect to Tony Romo, Drew Brees is the best quarterback that Dez Bryant will have ever played with, hands down.
Yeah, and the other question is, he's probably not going to play this week, so
no.
He's only going to have about 6 games to play. Is this his new future, or is it just
a tryout for next year?
Yeah, for another team. So I think the Saints would love to have him back if he does play very well, but it has to be a mutual understanding.
Yeah.
Talking about the Rams, they got Todd Gurley.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. The Rams are still the most talented team all around in the NFL, and it's incredibly difficult. There's a reason only one team has ever gone 19-0 or 72 Dolphins. There's a reason why they're the only undefeated team in NFL history. It's hard, and so the Rams were bound to lose at least one game, and this was it. We'll see how they do going forward against the Seahawks this week, and then they have They have some more difficult. They got the Chiefs in a couple weeks.
They have the
That's-
Chiefs. They also do have to go against the Eagles, I believe, in week 15 or week 16. Is there a possibility the Rams lose another game by the end of the season?
I believe yes, just because of the odds. But like I said, they're the most talented team, so there's a very real possibility they could go 15-1 and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. But in order to do that, the odds are that they would have to play the Saints again.
Yeah. I think the Rams are going to finish the season 13-3. I think I think they're going to lose to the Chiefs and the Eagles. The Rams are very talented on offense, but their defense has now collapsed.
Yeah, giving up 45 points to the Saints, who are a very explosive team. But
Yeah,
45
and then-
points is 45 points.
Let's be real. The not 49ers. The Chiefs have a better offense than the Saints.
Yeah.
It's going to be very hard to contain a more mobile quarterback in Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
And then the Eagles, they're just beefing up that offense with Golden Tate. I think the offense is going to outplay the other offense and beat them in the defensive game. So 13-3, but, Rams-Saints NFC Championship game is a very strong possibility.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would.
keep a lookout on that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to Todd Gurley, there's a couple running backs in this game. We saw two premier running backs in that game with Alvin Kamara and Todd Gurley. But two guys that really got me thinking: Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley. Who would you rather have?
For me, I would rather have Todd Gurley, although it is very close. I would rather have Todd Gurley because he's put up big numbers and he's been productive for his entire career. Just he's on a team filled with stars. He is the star of the Rams. He's a superstar. I believe he's leading the league in touchdowns right now, and leading the league in yards rushing. So Todd Gurley is my go-to, although it's really a 1A, 1B situation. Melvin Gordon is insanely good as well.
So, looking at the stats-wise, Gordon has played 49 games. He has 3,200 yards and 813 rushes. He has 25 rushing touchdowns with 9 more receiving, and he also is putting up over 1,300 receiving yards. And if you want to throw in more, Gordon didn't have a touchdown his rookie year, so he's put up 34 touchdowns in about 3 years, or 2.5. Gurley, on the other hand, in 52 games, he has 955 rushes for 4,096 yards, 40 rushing touchdowns, and on the receiving side, he has 1,654 yards and 10 touchdowns. So he is close to almost 6,000 yards from scrimmage and 50 touchdowns. So, these guys are very talented. Gurley's played a little bit more games. He has more touches and whatnot. But another thing is, Gordon, he has not signed a new deal yet. He's on the end of his rookie deal. Does the Chargers sign him to a long-term deal? Or do you sacrifice that for Joey Bobosa?
I would say talent is hard to come by at the running back position these days. I would say sign him. And you still got Phillip Rivers, who's still on a big contract, but he's nearing the end of his line, unless he decides to play 5 more years like Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's 35 years old. Came in the same year with Ben Roethlisberger and Eli Manning. He's not getting any younger, but he does have a very talented wide receiver in Keenan Allen. But yeah, Melvin Gordon is really the offensive power in that team. Definitely because Hunter Henry fell down, torn ACL.
Yeah.
But talking about Melvin Gordon, what about Le'Veon Bell? Reports coming that he should be reporting for the Steelers next week. So he could be eligible for free agency. If not, the Steelers will probably trade him away. What are some places Le'Veon Bell might go for the future of his career?
Well, the top 3 on my list are the Bucks are an offensive powerhouse. They just struggle on defense, and if they could add a top tier running back to their offense, like Le'Veon Bell, he would add to the pass game. Obviously, he would add to the run game. That would be a huge pickup for them. You got the Bills, although I don't really know if I could see him going to Buffalo because they made the playoffs last year, but they're at what 2-6, 2-7 at this point. They're gonna start looking to the future. Le'Veon Bell is more of a here and now. We're going playoffs or bust, Super Bowl or bust. So that would lead me to the Packers, who they have Aaron Rodgers, they have Jimmy Graham, Devontae Adams. They're, they traded away Clinton Dix and Ty Montgomery, but that doesn't mean that they're in tear down and rebuild mode. If they could add Le'Veon Bell, like I said with the Bucks, that would just add to the offense and it would make them more explosive, and they would like Aaron Rodgers and Le'Veon Bell, like that's a duo right there.
Yeah, I have the Packers also as one of the biggest pickups. The Packers haven't been really big in the free agency in a lot of years until recently last year. Before then, over 85% of that team was draft owned. But the Packers are in a win now situation. They're in a very tough division. And you got the quarterback, you got the wide receivers. Aaron Jones, he's not terrible, but there is room for improvement. Le'Veon Bell poises the elite running back who can also catch passes down the field and whatnot. This is probably something that Aaron Rodgers need. Keeps the offense going. Because let's be real here, the offense always leans on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It's time to take that pressure off of him for a little bit, and also when you get the run game, he's not going to get hit as much also, which could reduce his injuries.
Yep.
Another team I wouldn't be surprised would be the Eagles. They do have Jay Ajayi. Jay Ajayi just tore his ACL though. There's been rumors that he's been traded away from the Dolphins, that he has a very short shelf life. He's a power back. He's meant to break tackles, but you can only break tackles for so long. Carson Wentz would probably love to have Le'Veon Bell as a very sleeky type running back who can also catch his balls, where Jay Ajayi doesn't really, he doesn't have the skill wise for a pass catching running back. And this is what they would need to go back to the Super Bowl. Definitely in a division where the Redskins, the defense is looking legit. Let's be real, the Giants, they're going to get better.
Yeah.
At one point, they have a great offense. Their defense will be better.
Yeah. They're a couple pieces away from being a great team, much like the Rams were a few years ago.
And then the Cowboys, the Cowboys is literally probably an elite quarterback away from being a true 12-win team.
Yeah.
So that division, it doesn't look so much right now, but given next year, that division could be a whole nother ball game. And then my third team, which they've been in a playoff for about a couple of years, is the Ravens. Alex Collins is he's averaging under 4 yards a carry. There is possibility Lamar Jackson could be the starting quarterback next year. You don't draft a first round pick just to not use him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that Lamar Jackson probably would like. Given the fact that their wide receivers aren't the greatest wide receivers in the league right there.
Yeah.
So kind of do what the Giants doing with Saquon Barkley and whatnot, just dump it off of him.
Yeah, and it would make their Lamar Jackson is an option quarterback, and it would make their read option game very strong with an elite running QB like Lamar Jackson and an elite running back like Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, and this is a team that's they kind of heavily relied on their kicker a lot. So if you can get into a field goal range,
just
every
pound the ball
possession,
with Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't be surprised if it happens as it's happened before. As my fourth pick would be the Patriots. The Patriots usually love going after those big name guys for 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
They're coming to near the end of the Brady Belichick era. No one knows if Brady's going to play next year. We don't even know if Belichick's going to coach next year. But so this is something that would be heavily in if they're an all-in team. One final rodeo. So
yeah. and the Patriots are known to go after guys like a Josh Gordon,
Randy Moss.
So
So
Le'Veon Bell, Josh Gordon, Tom Brady potentially,
with
That's
Julian
an offense.
Edelman, Chris
Yep.
Hogan, James
and all
White.
those supporting cast.
Um, so Hugh Jackson got fired last week. Browns didn't win, but they did put up a fight against the Chiefs. But with Hugh Jackson being gone, that's coach number one gone, and you know how end year is, got the coaching carousel.
Yep.
Who do you think is going to be the next coach to be on the chopping block, or might be in the very, very hot seat coming near the end of the season and coming into next year?
Well, in my opinion, the guy who should be, he should have been for the past several years, but Jason Garrett just can't seem to get the Cowboys past that 8-8 mark, and they're on pace for that again this year. Just Jason Garrett is not, he's not the guy to take them to the next level, and it's been made very clear. Jerry Jones, I don't know, he's stubborn or something. He just has issues letting go. Like, I'm sure Jason Garrett would make a great coordinator somewhere, but just he's not the head coach to get them over the hump. And like they have the pieces to be a successful team with Zeke, and Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, and then you got Amari Cooper now. So they have the pieces, and then the offensive line, while it's taken a step back, is still a top tier offensive line. So that'll be my next pick. Would be Jason Garrett.
Yeah,
How about
Jason
you?
Garrett's definitely up there. I think the most surprising would be is Mike McCarthy for me. He's been on the hot seat for quite a while. Definitely missing the playoffs last year. You know, they're not looking so hot this year and whatnot, and they got a very good defense coming into town this week. At home, if Packers do lose to Miami next week, they got a Thursday night showdown with the Seahawks. Next week, this is something that the Packers aren't used to. They are a very, we're used to a winning team, and I think maybe that the ownership might cut loose with Mike McCarthy to bring in another
fresh
coach.
face.
Yeah, for Aaron Rodgers, which I wouldn't think is the best idea for Aaron Rodgers, because we know how Aaron Rodgers is going to be. But
Yeah, but maybe something for the rest of the team.
yeah, I think my guess is, don't be surprised they bring in a defensive guy, because let's be real, that
Yeah.
team's a defense away from the championship. You don't
Yeah.
need an offensive coach for
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers. He
much
is
like
the offensive coach.
Yeah, exactly. Much like Peyton Manning was, and then it's much like the Patriots. Just like how Tom Brady is going to be, just you don't really need many pieces. He's just going to make those pieces better because he's one of the best QBs of all time. It's very similar with Aaron Rodgers. Like, he doesn't need pieces. He will make them better. So let Aaron Rodgers deal with the offense, build a defense around him. And that's what will take them to the next level and back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. A couple other guys I have is Sean McDermott from the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Ever since he took over yeah, they made the playoffs last year, but let's be real, that was out of pure luck.
Yeah.
They got shot down in the wild card game against the Jaguars last year, and now this year, they are
taking
just
a huge step back.
yeah, and I think coaching is the problem. Sean McDermott hasn't proved to be a coach that deserves to be a coach.
By throwing Nathan Peterman in.
Yeah, he last year benched Tyrod for Nathan Peterman. Realized that was a bad mistake. He decided to do it again and again and again this year. He really hasn't gone after any good quarterbacks. You have Kaepernick out there right now, and he said he went after Derek Anderson, who retired. That is probably one of the worst moves you could do. You don't bring a retired dude in for quarterbacking play that week.
Yeah. Just they have Josh Allen for the future, but he's hurt right now.
Yeah, so. And it's just that team is just a terrible team in all three phases, and he is not the answer for it. Cut the ties, bring someone new in.
Yeah, maybe if they cut the ties and Mike McCarthy goes, maybe bring in Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, but there's a couple college dudes, are looking. I think a big name also is Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I know that he wants to come back into the NFL.
Yeah, and he proved in the NFL that he can be a successful coach, leading the 49ers to a championship game and to a Super Bowl. So,
Yeah, John Harbaugh also is on a hot seat. The Ravens haven't been producing uh, as much as he liked. You can put blame on Joe Flacco. I think it is time to move on from Joe Flacco, but
yeah.
John Harbaugh
Yeah.
needs to pull that plug to keep his job going. And then lastly, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Dirk Kyoder, from the Buccaneers. He's in a very big quarterback situation. Doesn't know what you want to do. Do you take the 35-year-old Ryan Fitzpatrick, or do you take the 25-year-old Jameis Winston? Both has up and down seasons. They're 3-5. Your division is, it's pretty tough right now. Your last place, you got the 7-1 Saints, 6-2 Panthers, and then you got the upcoming surging Atlanta Falcons, 4-4, who's made the playoffs the last 3 years. So, the Bucks need to realize you need a coach to compete against, Dan Quinn, Ron Rivera, and Sean Payton, and Dirk Kyoder is not the guy to compete against those,
Yeah,
elite
those powerhouse coaches. Yeah, much like the Packers, maybe bring in a defensive mind, because a lot like the Packers too, their offense has proven itself when Fitzpatrick is under center. So
Yeah, but
their
do you want to
defense
do
way.
you want to keep moving with Fitzpatrick in the upcoming seasons? Do you even want to keep Jameis Winston, and do you just start over with a new quarterback? I know that the quarterback draft isn't the greatest coming in next year for the draft. You're gonna get a couple dudes on the
Yeah, but
free agency.
it's not like years past though. The draft anyway.
And there's really not a lot of guys in the free agency this year. You got Sam Bradford.
Yeah,
There is a possibility with Nick Mullins or C.J. Brathen from the 49ers.
yeah.
And then that's really what you got. And then for the free agency, so
It'll be interesting to see what they do, but they have the pieces in place, the receivers in place. So if they go out and get a quarterback and a defense, so we'll see what they do. It'll be interesting to see.
yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So those are my coaches. I predict all 5 of them are going to be gone unless either the Ravens or the Packers somehow make the playoffs. Jason Garrett needs to go, even if they win Super
Yeah.
Bowl. Just get him out.
Yeah, they're not. They're gonna go 8-8 again, 7-9. So
We were talking about running backs earlier with Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley. We mentioned Alvin Kamara, but what about wide receivers? I think we're seeing a lot more production out of the wide receivers this year.
yeah,
When you look
yeah.
at yardage wise, my top 5 wide receivers, like you want to go with Adam Thielen, 8 straight 100-yard games.
Yeah.
Hasn't been done in a very long time.
Yeah.
Adam Thielen leads the league in yards and receptions. He's at 77 receptions. He's over 900 yards receiving. This guy's balling.
Yeah. He's already having a big season. I was about to say he's on pace, but he is having a huge season for the Vikings.
He's just in his
And he's
chemistry with Kirk Cousins. It's
Yeah.
almost the same thing he had with Case Keenum. And I think he makes Kirk Cousins a lot better than we thought that Kirk Cousins was going to be.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, I think, is second in the league in passing yards right now. But Adam Thielen is a big reason why. Number 2, I got DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, there's really not much to say about that. That man is a
Yeah.
beast.
He's a stud.
He's played with 7 different starting quarterbacks, I think.
Yeah. And now with he has Demaryius Thomas on the other side too, which will relieve some of the pressure.
Yeah, you can't double team both dudes. So, number 3, I got Michael Thomas. We just saw in the Saints game.
211 yards.
And a touchdown. This guy is balling. You got the Hall of Fame. Drew Brees throwing the ball to you. This guy's not going to stop. I think he could play with another quarterback if he can once the post Drew Brees comes in. Number 4, I have Julio. Julio's not going to be a big touchdown guy, although he just got his first touchdown last weekend. But his production.
He's always gonna be a big yards guy.
Yeah, he's averaging over 100 yards a game in his career. He's one of the only guys with one of 6 guys that have 300 yards in a game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, his production on the field to set up success for other players, that's a rare quality to find.
Yeah, one of the only true number 1 wide receivers in the game today.
Yeah, and then look at the other wide receivers teams, Calvin Ridley and Sanu. Like the team's loaded.
Yeah.
And then number 5, I have Antonio Brown, and people are probably gonna wonder why I have Brown at 5. The guys above him, I think, are better. Antonio Brown, I mean, he has 8 touchdowns this year, which is a lot, but I think his production has gone down a little since Juju Schuster-Smith is coming into the game. I think that Juju is probably going to be the number 1 receiver on that team. He's better, he's quicker, he has better hands.
Yeah. And don't forget, the Steelers, they may be down Le'Veon Bell, but they found another stud running back in James Conner, who's also a big piece of that offense. Maybe taking away a few touches from Antonio Brown in the short passing game. But
yeah, and Antonio Brown's only 5'8", or 5'10", somewhere around there. So he's very short. So
for a receiver.
And Antonio Brown, I'm gonna give all the credit. He is a great guy, but take away Big Ben, Antonio Brown doesn't really produce much. We saw it a couple years ago when Big Ben was hurt for a couple games, and you had like Landry Jones, you had Michael Vick coming in, and he just couldn't get a connection going. And I think that's a big thing for Antonio Brown. When Big Ben finally goes, or if he has to go to another team, I think his success comes from Big Ben. So that's why I have him at number 5. But all 5 of those wide receivers,
they're all true number 1 wide receivers.
They're elite. There's a reason why all those guys are in playoff races right now, because of those guys.
Yep.
All right, moving on to our Week 10 predictions. We got a good old Thursday night football this week. The 6-2 Panthers going up to Pittsburgh against the 5-2-1 Steelers. I got the Steelers winning this game. I think that the defenses win championships, but on the flip side, if it comes down to an offense having to win the game, I trust the Steelers' offense and the Panthers' offense.
Yeah, Steelers have more weapons on their offense than the Panthers do. Sure, you got Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey, but for the Steelers, you got Big Ben. We were just talking about Antonio Brown, James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster. You got weapons aplenty.
And Jesse James,
Yeah.
I have more trust into the Steelers' offense to lead a win.
Yeah, and I would trust Big Ben more than Cam Newton if it came down to quarterback play.
Yeah, a stat that, if you guys care, Ben Roethlisberger is 15-3 in prime times since 2014, so he can play in prime time games.
Yeah.
Moving on to our Sunday games, we got the Lions at the Bears. This is a very big game. All around the NFC North. The NFC North is finally starting to play each other now. They all really don't have a lot of division games, so in the next couple weeks we're going to see a lot of these division games. But I think I got the Bears winning. The Bears are sitting at 5-3. They want to go 6-3 to lead that division. But I think their defense is too much for Matt Stafford to overcome. We saw the Vikings defense wreck that offensive line, putting up 10 sacks. And I think the Bears defense is probably better than the Vikings defense. They're faster. They're faster, and you got Khalil Mack. So
yeah, you have a more elite pass rusher, and the Vikings just put up 10 sacks on the Lions. So I also have the Bears winning this one. Lions have been on a downward tick the past few weeks, and then the Bears are just, at least they're outperforming my expectations for them this year. So I look for the Bears to take this one at home.
I think probably one of the best games of the week. We have the Saints at the Bengals. You just came off a big win against the Rams. I don't expect you to slow down afterwards, and we don't know if Des Bryant's going to be playing this game. We'll probably won't find out until Saturday or Sunday. But I think the Saints are going to beat the Bengals. Just stay in the race with the NFC South, and also the first seed in the NFC.
Yeah, there's not much else I can add to that. The Saints are gonna, I, I think they're gonna win this one. It might be close, but I look for the Saints to win this one.
And the Saints are also undefeated on the road. Also, Falcons at the Browns. I'm gonna have to go with the Falcons. You know, they're making their comeback. You know, they're riding on a 3-game winning streak. The Browns, you know, they're just lost their coach. They don't understand what's going on right now. Baker Mayfield and their new coach, Greg Williams, they're not gonna. They don't work well together right now because he is a defensive guy. He probably doesn't know how to work with a rookie quarterback. So this is the season's lost for the Browns at this point, and I think the Falcons are just too much for the Browns to keep up.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Falcons offense with Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, and yeah, Matt Ryan has plenty of pieces, much like Big Ben has in Pittsburgh. Falcons offense is going to overwhelm the Browns, even though the Browns are at home this week.
Jaguars at Colts. This is a lot of people probably don't care about this game, but this is a very important game into the AFC South. Loser of this game is probably out for the playoffs for the season. I think I have the Jaguars in this game. The Jaguars have been unproven at this point, being 3-5. Leonard Fournette comes back this week, get that rush game going. I think getting that rush game going, the defense is going to improve. You're on the field less, so I think that is the key for the game is the Jaguars' defense in that run game.
Yeah, I would agree with Leonard Fournette coming back this week. That's the piece that'll push the Jaguars past the Colts this week.
And this is the first time Andrew Luck's going against this elite defense in his career. You know, missing the last 2 seasons or whatnot. So
yeah,
he doesn't know what to expect really.
Yeah, we'll see how he goes up against Jalen Ramsey and that Jags defense.
Cardinals at the Chiefs. I think this is a no-brainer. The Chiefs win. The Cardinals doesn't have the offense to keep up. Their defense might be able to keep the game closer than some people might think, but I think the Chiefs just roll right in and this is an easy win for them.
Yeah, I would agree. Wouldn't be surprised at a blowout in this one with the Chiefs winning.
The Bills versus Jets. This is a classic AFC East rivalry. It's a lost season for both teams. Sam Darnold is out for the Jets, so Josh McCown is going to be in. I still think the Jets are going to win. Bills are going to probably play Nathan Peterman. This is the battle of backup quarterbacks. I trust Josh McCown than Nathan Peterman to win a game.
I'll just pick the Bills to win. I mean, I guess you can call it an upset on the road against the Jets, but I'll take the Bills to win this one. I think LaShawn McCoy, if he plays, which I'm pretty sure he will, I think he'll have a bounce back week. He's been down this season, but I think he'll have a bounce back week and push the Bills past the Jets.
We got the Redskins at the Buccaneers. Redskins defense got lit up last week against Matt Ryan. I think this is going to happen again with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They put up 4 touchdowns against a Panthers defense, and I think the Redskins offense isn't as good as the Panthers were last week, when they put up 42 points. So I got the Buccaneers winning this game. Like I said, this is the end game for the Buccaneers. One more loss ends the season. They're still in the wild card race. I think they're playing for the coach. So Redskins probably offense can't keep up with Ryan Fitzpatrick and co.
I could see this one being a closer game than people expect. I think the Redskins will come out on top. On the road, they'll look to bounce back from last week's big loss. Alex Smith is a veteran QB, so is Ryan Fitzpatrick, but Alex Smith is the more proven QB, and you still got Adrian Peterson, who's having a good year this year, a good bounce back year, and then the Redskins. I just look for their defense to bounce back this week against the Bucks. It'll still be a pretty high scoring game, but I think the Redskins will take this one.
We got the Patriots at the Titans. Fun fact: the Titans coach used to play for Bill Belichick for the Patriots a couple years ago. So this is player versus coach really. Belichick had a lot of high praise for Mike Vrabel, but at the end of the day, I think the Patriots will beat the Titans. They're more talented than the Titans, although the Titans do have a very good defense, which could play a factor in this game. They are playing in Tennessee, but it really depends on if the Titans' defense can play well. But I will give it to the Patriots this week.
Yeah, I'll agree. The Patriots are going to win this one over the Titans. Marcus Mariota had a good week last week, a couple throwing touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown, but that was the Cowboys. This is the Patriots, who are 7-2 right now. They're going to move to 8-2, and Belichick is going to he's going to outcoach his former player, I believe, and Patriots are going to win.
Chargers versus Raiders. Let's be real, it's the Chargers. This is a game they have to win. They should win to keep the race against the Chiefs on a lockdown. So if they lose against the Raiders, it is very uncalled for this team.
Yeah, I would say if anyone loses to the Raiders, it's uncalled for. They got beat 34-3 against the now 2-win 49ers. They got absolutely blown out. Raiders are in full rebuild mode. Chargers are they beat the Seahawks in Seattle last week. They're gonna beat the Raiders in Oakland this week.
Miami and Green Bay. I'm not gonna be biased, but at the end of the day, I think Miami's gonna come out on top on the Packers. Packers defense is terrible. They just got banged up against the Patriots. You get rid of Ha Clinton Dix. They really don't have any defense other than Clay Matthews. On the offensive side of the ball, they're going against a very stout Dolphins team who leads the NFL in 15 interceptions. So it really comes down to if Aaron Rodgers has the ball on the final drive. And I think that's what this game's going to be about, who has the ball on the final drive.
Yeah, I think the Packers are going to win this game for one reason, and that reason is Aaron Rodgers. Sure, they're also at home, but Aaron Rodgers is the difference maker for the Packers, and he is the Packers. He has been the Packers for the past several years, and Aaron Rodgers is going to win this game for the Packers against the Dolphins. It might be close, but yeah, Aaron Rodgers is going to win.
Got the Seahawks and Rams. Rams coming off that very tough loss against the Saints. I expect a bounce-back game in L.A. I think the Seahawks can probably keep it close. Their defense is improving, their offense is improving, but I don't think that defense could shut down I don't think that offense could really put up as much points as what the Rams can do.
Yeah, I would agree. The Seahawks kept it close last time, but ultimately the Rams came out on top, and I believe the same will be true of this game. The Rams are going to beat the Seahawks, bounce back against loss to a tough Saints team. Rams are they're gonna win this. Their offense is gonna be too much for the young and unproven, really Seahawks secondary so far. Sure, they're doing good. They're doing well. Top 5 in points allowed this year, but the Rams are their offense is too much for the Seahawks defense.
Yeah, we got the Cowboys against Eagles on Sunday night. I think the Eagles come and win. They're fresh off a bye. Just got Golden Tate. Carson Wentz is about to be pass happy in this game. Cowboys defense and offense will not be able to compete against this Eagles team, who is really now in the race for the NFC East.
Yeah, Eagles they're gonna beat the Cowboys. Cowboys are gonna fall closer to their 8-8 annual 8-8 record. And then the Eagles they're at 500 right now. They're gonna tip the scale, move above 500. Carson Wentz, I believe, will have a big game this week, like you just said, throwing to Golden Tate. So Eagles will win this one.
And then lastly, our Monday Night Football game with the Giants and 49ers. I'm going to go with my boy Nick Mullins. He's going to make his second start, I believe. That he should after what he did last week. And the Giants, the Giants team, they're not as good also. So I have the 49ers winning this one.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a tight, a contested Monday Night Football game. They're both equal talent levels, I would say, but I think the Giants might actually come out on top in this one. You got the veteran experience of Eli Manning. You have a rising superstar in Saquon Barkley. You have a superstar already in Odell Beckham. I think those three guys will elevate the Giants to a victory on the road against the 49ers.
Yep, and that's predictions for Week 10. Lastly, I think we're gonna do which fantasy player should we pick up, or we should for people to pick up.
My pick is actually a defense. I'm picking up the Chargers defense just because of the matchup against the Raiders this week. So the Chargers, they had a pretty good week against the Seahawks last week, and the Seahawks are a much better team than the Raiders are. So Chargers put up 13 points against Seattle last week. So I believe they can do better than that against the Raiders. And they're banged up and diminished offense.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have two guys this week. My first guy is going to be Nick Mullins. I think he played a very good game against the Raiders. Put up 28 points. I think he's going to have similar against the Giants. And my second guy, surprisingly, I'm going to have this guy named one of the Packers wide receivers, Marquise Van Stratening, I believe how you pronounce his name. He's a rookie off the Packers. They just put Allison on IR. He had 3 catches for 101 yards last week. He has a couple touchdowns already in the season. He's going to be the upcoming star. And with the Dolphins defense, chances are Jimmy Graham's going to be covered by Minkah Fitzpatrick. Xavier Howard's going to be on Randall Cobb or on Devontae Adams. Don't be surprised if T.J. McDonald or Rashad Jones will be on Randall Cobb. So that third wide receiver is probably going to be open for most of the game. Don't be surprised if he gets about 5 or 6 catches for over 100 yards and probably catching a touchdown against that defense. But with that, I think we're done with our episode 3. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to us so you guys can get our weekly updates for our videos. And then I think we're going to start doing some power rankings again. I know we've been busy the past couple of weeks with work and whatnot, but we're going to try to get those back up. But yeah, please subscribe to us so you guys don't miss anything on us, and tell your friends about us. We appreciate all the support you guys give us, whatnot. So
also give us a follow on Twitter at Cleaver Podcast.
Yes. Starting soon. Once we build the fan base. If you guys ask us a question through our Twitter at Cleaver Podcast 1, we'll be gladly to answer. We'll pick the best questions and we'll put your @name in and we'll answer your questions. So, that's at Cleaver Podcast 1 on Twitter, and then subscribe to us, comments. Write in the comments what do you think about us, any questions, whatnot. But like I said, we appreciate all the support you guys have given us in the past couple weeks.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we will see you guys again next week.
Yep, next Thursday.